My dad is a class A narcissist. I still love the guy, we're cool. The relationship, I can call him and talk to him, but it's like, he showed me what to run away from in a man, you know, and in a husband and in a father. He was present. My parents are divorced now, but that was only when I was like 23. So my whole childhood, I had two parents, but it's like, I just saw him and I always just think like, I would never be with someone like you know, because of like just certain things, how he treated my mom, how he treated us. Like, he felt like the fatherly duties he did was like, we were lucky he was doing them. Like, homeboy, you're a dad. You're supposed to do this, you know what I mean? So it's like now, when any guy in the past I've dated showed respect, I'm like, my father? I'm gone. So now I know it's important for me to be in a relationship, in a marriage that I feel seen, I feel loved, they feel seen, and they let me know that they feel seen.
Growing up, the one thing I wanted from, especially my dad, was to explain why something was wrong.
No.
I feel like there was a lot of it. And I feel like, no, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, they were trying to like protect you, keep you safe. Like, I didn't know that. I was just growing up getting told, don't touch the fire. And I was never told why not to touch the fire. And so I think growing up, it made me a bit of a rebellious kid. The way my mind works, if you just tell me a statement, I'm like, okay, but why? My mind's so curious, I'm always gonna ask why. And I feel like my dad, growing up, really spoke in riddles. I don't think he realized it, but it would always be like, the way he would get me to do things, it was very like, by the book. And if I didn't do it by the book, it was wrong. So I grew up just feeling like a failure, like I could never get it right. My dad told me to wash the dishes with this method, but that method didn't work for me. I wanted to wash the dishes like this. In my head, I'm like, the dishes still got washed. But then it's interesting because recently, I don't think my dad will mind me saying this, but recently my dad, about 6 months ago, he realized after 46 years of living or whatever, that he's got autism. So now I can understand that the way that my dad's very regimented with me growing up, that's just how his mind is. I never knew that. So growing up, it's just, I feel like our minds clash because if you're saying do A, B, C, and then D, but I'm doing A, C, D, and then B, like, still getting done in my mind. So I think I wish that growing up, he would have just explained things a bit more, like that communication you're talking about. Because if I understood, oh, you're trying to keep me safe because you love me, then I would have maybe made decisions differently.
So you're any different with your own, like...
I feel like that's why I think even just the way I've grown up, tried to become such a communicator, even sometimes to the point where I realized sometimes I over-communicate because that wasn't, do you know what I mean? That wasn't there.
That's the problem, same.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So like, even with like, I'm in an interesting space because like, even what I said to you guys with like the relationship, like, I just used to grow up hearing my parents say, don't get into a relationship, don't have sex, and I just used to think, well, I have to be this perfect man then before I can get into a relationship. And so I was always anxious and scared of relationships. Even if I liked a girl, I'd be like, no, you can't like them. I would think that's bad because I just associated relationships with negativity. So where I'm at a space right now where I do have a girlfriend, that took a lot of like, I guess, work for me to kind of remove those anxieties myself that my parents placed on me. And also by telling them, you know, you placed a lot of anxiety on me growing up. I can literally hear my parents in my head, like even though they're not even saying these things anymore when I was a kid. So I had to actively like, be like, Joshua, what do you want for your life? Where are you at in your life? Do you feel like you're mature enough to, and it was about me kind of, you know, having that conversation with myself and with God and knowing where I'm at, because your parents don't always know. They think they know you, but it's like, sometimes you actually don't know me and the things I've been through, and so...
And that's a choice, isn't it? I think I realised that maybe about 15, 16, like living at home, and like I have an older brother, 2 years older, and we had same environment, very different experiences with our parents. He's very curious about the world, me not so much, and I think I know what I'm doing. I'm playing sport after school. I don't want to do it. And I think I think what I learned was actually there's a choice of like, okay, you start hiding things from your parents. And I think, and I could see my brother doing that a bit, and the relationship, the kind of relationship he was having with my parents. And then I was like, I now have a decision to make whether I open up and then let them into this space to protect our relationship. Like, will that flourish our relationship, or will it, you know, and it's scary because you open yourself up to be like, you know, judged or like, or rejected in different ways. And actually, I think I made the choice to be like, actually, no, like, I love these people. I want them to be part of my life. I don't want to feel like I'm hiding things from them. I can't lie to them. They can tell when I lie anyway. Like, I'd be rubbish at lying.
That's so interesting. I became a master liar as a kid.
And so I'm so actually, you know, I made that decision to trust them in that. And that is why I think we have the relationship that we have. And I think real connection is vulnerability and honesty.
One thing, slightly different angle on the question, but I think one thing I did understand and learn from my parents and a lot of other parents in the community is the importance of a healthy marriage in parenting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Go there.
Now we're talking.
Go there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because that is one thing that I've like really is important to me, that you build a family on like stable foundation, mutual respect for each other, and you live your life together before you start having kids, because a lot of people in the South Asian community don't get the chance to do that. And that shows up in very different ways later on. So it could be resentment towards the children that actually get to experience things. It could be resentment once the children leave, you don't know what to do with yourself, and you build up this kind of like emotional dependency on the children, and then that kind of filters down, and it's just like generational trauma that's passed on unless someone decides, actually, let me just live my 20s, get it out of the way, and then everyone can be happy. That is one thing. And then just like the ability to get to know each other before marriage. Like dating is so, so important, and it's been a massive thing for me. And again, another reason why I date openly, and I've had a breakup openly as well in the community, which is an insane thing. But I think it just goes to show that you can actually find your right person, and it's okay to. In fact, it's important to. That's how it's shaped my view on marriage, the ability to have a strong foundation before starting to have kids and things like that. But how do you guys feel about that? How has your parents' marriage shaped your current or future marriages, if anyone is married?
It gave me night vision, for real.
Night vision?
Yeah, because I can see through anybody, because for me, it's like, my dad is a class A narcissist. I still love the guy. We're cool. The relationship, I can call him and talk to him, but it's like, he showed me what to run away from in a man, and in a husband and in a father. He was present. My parents are divorced now, but that was only when I was like 23. So my whole childhood, I had two parents. But it's like, I just saw him, and I always should think like, I would never be with someone like you, because of like just certain things, how he treated my mom, how he treated us. Like, he felt like the fatherly duties he did was like, we were lucky he was doing them. Like, homeboy, you're a dad. You're supposed to do this. You know what I mean? So it's like now, when any guy in the past I've dated showed respect my father, I'm gone. So now I know it's important for me to be in a relationship, in a marriage, that I feel seen, I feel loved, they feel seen, and they let me know that they feel seen. Because I feel like a lot of the time, we want to let other people know that we need to be heard, but we forget that they also need to feel comfortable to let you know that they're seen or they're not seen as well, So that's something that's very important for me in a marriage. Like, I'm not currently married now, but I have a partner, and it's like every day I think about my parents' relationship, and I put that into when we have communication. It's like, this is important. As much as it is to me, it is to you. And it's like, if I'm showing any signs of X, Y, and Z, you can tell me, and I will not feel a kind of way, because people think communication is key, but it's comprehension. Because if you don't even understand what someone's saying, you can talk all day long, but you need to actually understand where they're coming from. And that's something that I deep with my parents, that was like, she felt a kind of way, and he just was not even trying to even understand her. He just felt like, I'm the man of the house, and that's that.
And that is what I think I've learned as a man now, because growing up here, anything I asked, it was just like, ask your dad. Even if my mom has an opinion on it, my dad has the final say. And I used to look at my mom like, do you not have a brain of your own? Like, genuinely, and it's something that used to annoy me, because I was like, well, I don't get why. I didn't understand the whole dad is the man of the house. And the reason why I say that is because, so my mom's a therapist, right? So my mom's done a lot of work on herself. She didn't necessarily come from the greatest household, but she's done a lot of work on herself. So the way my mom shows up, she tried her best to, give each of her kids everything they need. Whereas I feel like my dad, the way he parented us was just this one blanket. I'm gonna give all my kids the same thing. And it didn't work, because I'm not like my brother, and I'm not like my sister. I'm different. So if you're just gonna give me what they have, it might not land the same way. And I think that growing up, the more that I grew up with them as well, I saw the difference in my parents. I'm like, my mum seems really mature. She's done a lot of work on herself. And my dad, it feels like there's so many elements of you where I can still see you're a kid. I can still see you haven't dealt with your relationship that's not good with your dad. And it's seeping through, and I can see it, you know what I mean? And so with the whole kind of like man at the house thing, for a long time, it used to really annoy me. Because I was like, I have to give respect to this person that I don't even feel like deserves it sometimes. You know what I mean?